All right, so we're back here. Like we said, Rob, it's been 2 weeks, but we are back here. Commanders in the Chat, episode 73. We are back after a holiday bye week, and didn't want to kind of come back. I mean, it was kind of one of those where um, things have got progressively worse in these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. A lot went down that we're gonna talk about. Yeah, I kind of wish we had the same route as Jack Del Rio.
Yeah, Josh Harris might get rid of us. I mean, it ain't too late. So,
Clearly,
like I
we're not
said,
helping.
so like I said, that. So yeah, we definitely got to get into it. Obviously, last time we were here, we were previewing our Giants matchup, and we'll talk about that in also Thanksgiving Day game as well. But we got to first talk about. We had a Black Friday surprise in the sense where the NFL world, we woke up on Friday morning and realized that there was a tweet that Jack Del Rio and also defensive back coach Brett Vermeyer was let go from this staff. So, Rob, what was your thoughts on finding news about Jack Del Rio?
Um, Relieved that finally something changed. Obviously a little, too late in my opinion, but still better than nothing at this point, I guess. Ron Rivera is taking over play calling on the defensive side of the ball. Again, too little, too late. I don't know how much of a difference Ron Rivera is going to make. Um, I doubt if there is a difference at all, it's enough to make a serious playoff run. Sitting at 4-8 right now, um, with teams like Minnesota ahead of us, and I don't see much really happening. There's already reports that Josh Harris isn't going. Is already expected to not keep Ron Rivera through the once the season is up. But this begs the question: what's the point in keeping him? But it's just at least something was done. This is a little like when I woke up to the news that Alex Grinch was fired, former defensive coordinator for USC Trojans. Same concept. Even at that point in time, it was too little, too late, but still better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, we knew something, that's one of those where we knew something was going to happen. I think, we even talked about it even 2 weeks ago. If we lost the Giants, would Ron Rivera survive? And, so couple with we'll talk about Thanksgiving Day, but yeah, something was going to give. I think you look at these performances and they just look horrible. I mean, from a defensive standpoint, obviously, still worse than the league as far as giving up points per game, 29.2. So you look at that defense and never really has improved. And then you're just looking at even just from the outside looking in, from when I think about guys like from the alumni and everything, and it's saying like guys just aren't being coached properly on this defense. And a lot of people are saying that. So it's one of the things where something had to give in this situation. I know we talked about it. It was more so we thought it was going to be more of a package deal where we didn't think that Ron Rivera, in a sense, was going to part ways with Jack Del Rio. It was going to be like a package deal where all of them just all walk at the same time. But like you said, now, like you said, to the reports that that Ron Rivera will be here for the next final four. Well, how many games we got? Like 5 games left. Yeah, the
5
final
games.
5 games left. So he'll be here for the final five, and then we know for certain it's going to be it'll be a Black Monday, casualty, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, and really curious about this play calling. Like, and that's one thing too, where with him having this quote unquote like no emotion, no bravado on the sidelines, how that's going to translate, as far as when he does his play calling. Like, is he going to have some type of enthusiasm for these games? Because you obviously you look at the games, he just looks like he's just standing there.
Yeah.
And it's just really curious now. Now he's going to have to be engaged in this defensive game plan and how he will be on the sidelines. It's going to be definitely um, yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's It's going to be an interesting next 6 weeks because we got the game that we're going to talk about against Miami, and then obviously we
Sure.
have a bye week after that. Pretty meaty schedule to end the season. So it's definitely going to be interesting, but like I said,
Yeah.
better than nothing at this point, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, coming out the bye week, you only got four more games, and like you said, and Washington has and I want to be the positive guy, but they have some games where they can become a spoiler. I mean, you can kind of, you know, in certain cases, you can help your brother, your NFC's brethren, potentially in San Francisco on New Year's Eve. We could, maybe Aaron. I know Aaron Rodgers with the 21-day thing. That's right around Christmas Eve, potentially. Could we spoil his return back potentially? Obviously like Dallas. I think that's will be a game where I think they might almost similar to last year where they might be fighting for the NFC East. And hey, why not? You know, do something advance Thanksgiving. I mean,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
not? I mean,
exactly.
so it's a lot. So even though in the grand scheme of things we aren't a playoff team, but we can still play spoiler the teams, and and this would be a great opportunity for them to get good film for this new regime with a new general manager and a coach. They gonna see you because they if you impress during this Final Four stretch, oh, you'll probably be back on this football team because now it's like you're not playing for nothing. But
Right,
if you're playing like you're playing for something, even in the midst of, having almost at this point probably had double digit losses and you're still playing football out there and you're still going hard. Oh, you're gonna be a part. You may not be a part of this team, but you'll be a part of some other football team because they're gonna look at you. All the eyes are watching you.
right.
You know,
And even
so
without all that, you're still like when people talk about preseason, you may not be playing for a roster spot on the team that you're playing on, but you're trying to put
well,
together some tape for another team. That's what I think a lot of guys are going to be trying to do these last 5 weeks. A lot of them might not even want to be back after this
yeah.
dumpster fire that they've been a part of.
Yeah, they might do a Kevin McAllister and be like, you know what? After January the 7th, I don't want to see any of you guys for the rest of my whole life. So that's gonna happen. Some guys are just gonna be like that. But
Yeah,
it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, so even in the midst of the disparity in how bad this year has been, but you still can. There's still some time to kind of, at least somewhat leave a good taste going forward, because yeah, but so we'll kind of talk about these last 2 weeks, and we'll just talk about it more so in its totality. We don't have to belabor, these last 2 weeks because these last 2 weeks were horror. I mean, obviously
oh,
coming off that Giants loss, obviously the 31-19 loss, in that game, and then also Thanksgiving Day game where we lost 45-10. What's just overall thoughts on the last 2 weeks of this Commander season?
I still don't know how Ron Rivera still has a job. I really thought that if it was a loss the way that it was against the Giants, he would have been gone. And then one thing I was afraid of is the Giants game kind of being close because for whatever reason we play the good teams close and having a chance to win. The Giants game I was disappointed in. The Thanksgiving game I was numb. Like I was sitting on the couch, had a little drink, um, was watching and just wasn't cheering for the good plays. I wasn't getting upset about the bad plays. It was kind of expected, not even kind of. The kind of game I did expect to see from this team, and at that point, I just no longer cared.
Yeah. You look at the Giants game, definitely you look at it just from the standpoint of, you know, um, you sack DeVito 9 times and you still lose a football game by double digits. You have 6 turnovers. You have so it's just to a point where it's already bad enough that you lose, and then you lose to a guy that's just beat you and gonna go home back to Jersey with clean clothes, folded clean clothes, and chicken cutlets waiting for him.
Yeah.
Double chicken cutlets waiting for him at the door after he beat the Commanders. And then like you said, Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving. I just had that feeling, and and I think it's gonna kind of allude to what we'll kind of talk about more towards later this week. As obviously this is the week of Sean Taylor's passing, and obviously if you look at in the beginning in the intro to the for the game, and his daughter Jackie had the let's beat Dallas. That's the only thing that kind of had me going in that game. That's the only thing, and it's weird. Most games I know I have a feeling, I have like an ominous feeling about this team could come out flat, and I felt like that from the jump, even from everything, the pregame shows, all that. I'm like, yeah, you could just come in flat, and even you could just even tell around just following members that were there in Dallas covering the Commanders. They said it was flat as well. So it's one of those where it's like you said, I was numb to it. I wasn't expecting circa 2020 or 2012. I knew just the ominous feeling like
Yeah.
this is it. The only spark was that intro, and that was it. And that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, it's gonna get ugly today.
Yeah. And especially the way Dak had been playing
Yeah,
leading into this game, I knew it wasn't. I didn't really have high hopes. I watched it because it was my team, and that was it. I said just complete numbness watching the game. I'm ready for the season to be. I'm ready for January 8th to get here. Hopefully, Magic Johnson and Josh Harris already have a firm put in place to look for a GM. That way the GM can pick the coach, and then we'll start looking forward to the draft.
yeah, absolutely. And before I kind of get my thoughts on that one as well too, shouts out guy Kenneth. Thanksgiving was great. Y'all get some turkey or lose your appetite. I like you said, I was dumb. I still had my appetite. I ate. I ate. I'm at a point where after you lose to Tommy DeVito, you're shot.
Yeah,
Like at this point, you lose to Tommy DeVito, it's a wrap. Like a guy with a TD chain, and he's probably eating chicken cutlets now, watching us, literally with extra marinara sauce. That do sound kind of good though. But
I ate before the game,
uh
so I knew probably if I would have waited till after, I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't have wanted to eat.
huh. I hate to be the fat one in the group, but hey, before, during, and after. So it is what it is. Definitely huge.
It was whiskey, Ken.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I only have even for me was water. I couldn't. I don't think I could do anything at this point. Before, during, and
Better than I am.
after. So, but yeah, like you said, Ron, I am. I think I am to a point where I'm ready to wash the season away and just start the rebuilding process. And this is the type of rebuild process I think all the Commanders fans have been yearning to have for years to get this right. Like we said, as far as don't do stupid stuff. I hate to say this out loud, but but don't do like the other regime used to do once upon a time. I remember one time that's when remember we botched the whole thing with the late Jim Fossil. He was supposed
Yeah.
to be our head coach, then that fell through. Then Jim Zorn became the head coach, so he was so those type of situations happen. You you know then the situation even with this regime we had with Ron Vera, he was hired with no general manager, so he ran the show. Until Mayhew came, and you're like that's another one where you put the cart before the horse, and you can't do that. That's one thing where
Yeah.
you don't get away with those type of things, especially now. And so like you said, and we got guys like you said, Magic. Um, and also, Josh Harris, who I think, like you said, they're going to come together. And like you said, they're going to have a firm, they're going to do it right. I'm really confident in what they're going to do. I'm very curious who will be, as far as the candidates. I think, especially as everything kind of comes up the process, and I'm really just curious how our open position will stack up against the other teams that are going to get fired. I mean,
Yeah.
other teams that are going to need coaching. So that's one thing too. Where and I think even we talked about it even after the smoke with the Montez and Chase trade. It's like that's another one where we added 2 draft picks that I think could potentially, especially that Montez getting that essentially we're thinking because they still what fifth. My memory serves correct. I think they still fifth. So that would be what like a top 40 pick in the. So we
They're
have
fourth
three
right now
and four. Okay, so
in
they
the
four. So that would be 30. So that'd be what a 36 pick.
36. Yep.
So yeah, so we'd have 36 picks. So yeah, so you're looking at you got two two picks in the top 37 in top 36 picks in the NFL draft next year. So that's going to be another attractive thing for them to have. And then coupled with our second round pick, which is probably going to be 40, I think. Because we're what, seventh?
As of no, we're right behind them at fifth. So
Oh,
in the
Jesus.
second round,
Okay,
our
so,
we have the 36th pick in the second round,
uh-huh.
and then the Bears, which is ours, is the 38th.
Also, we had 3 picks. We had three
So that
picks in the
three
top
picks in the
38.
top 40, and
Yeah.
from the way the Bears have looked, it could be we could have three in the top 35,
Yeah,
36.
including us.
Yeah,
That's another thing. We're climbing up the draft ladder, but we're climbing down from a record perspective. But yeah, so, yeah, and yeah, you just that's one thing too. I think if you just look at it from the surface, I think we will have probably one of the most attractive job openings. So that's why I think that will help as far as the candidate pool. Like I
yeah,
think we can potentially get the best out the best. Um, just the simple fact that hey, you got that, and then coupled with the $90 million, so you pretty much almost had this team with a blank check.
yeah.
Especially $90 million is a lot. Not a lot to work with, especially in the NFL.
Right.
You know,
With
and then you
and
yeah
depending on what the new GM and head coach think of Sam Howell, because if you're working with $90 million in cap space and you believe you have your quarterback of the future, that you can't get much better than that.
yeah yeah, and like you said, and hopefully they will because now you have an opportunity to keep him for another 3+ years without breaking the bank for him. So that's another thing too, where like you said, you can turn this football team around in an instant. If you like you said, if you see the promise in Sam Howell, you see what he has done here, then you get him, with a pretty decent offensive line, and he get a better opportunity, next year to release the ball a little bit quicker. And like you said, this team can be turned around a lot. And like I said, and this one thing too, even I know even though they're 4-8, but this roster is definitely not a 4-8 roster.
Yeah,
And I think
I
that's
agree.
another thing too. I think people fail to realize that the cupboard isn't bare here. Like it's not like we're not like a Carolina where
Yeah,
okay, you know this team is legitimate. Like this could be like you said, this team can turn around this instantly. This is a quick turnaround, but yeah. But like you said, I'm just looking forward to that process and kind of just seeing how it all gonna work out on our end, and and who will be available. I think that's a thing too, where that's gonna be the key. So, but yeah, it was been some pretty rough 2 weeks, but it's all good. So this is a very interesting game. So this is one where coming up, we got the Miami Dolphins on the schedule. Kind of, even looking at this from the preseason, like, yeah, this is gonna be a really interesting game against this Miami Dolphins team. I definitely thought we would be in contention at this point, but obviously we're not. So what's your storyline to watch in this matchup against the Miami Dolphins?
can Tua help me upset uh Chris in our fantasy league? That's the only thing I really care about in this game. I have Tua starting, so I just no. Actually, one that I do legitimately have is I want to know if when we go to bed Sunday night, if the Denver Broncos are still the team that gave up the most points to the Miami Dolphins this season, because I am very afraid that we could break that record. The way that offense is looking, I think it's plausible, it's possible that they hang a nice 72, 75 points against us.
Yeah. And so funny. I think they're gonna go for it because obviously, kind of beats my storyline in a sense. Where Mike McDaniel's come back. I
Yeah.
think you look at him. Obviously, I think and Mike McDaniel's is a very quirky guy, but like some and when I felt when he said when he his up his pain when he had to pay for coffee here in DC. So it's kind of one of the things where I was like, I can hear him now saying, "I take that personal." Like I can see that because that's just he's just, and I use this term a lot loosely, especially as of late. But like he's a sports sociopath,
Yeah.
and I think he will do something like that and kind of get his team ready for this type of situation. And like you said, just don't be embarrassed. Don't get embarrassed on Hard Knocks. So that's the thing about it. Try not to get yourself embarrassed
Yeah.
with that, and yeah, and yeah, I think that's one thing too. I think just Mike McDaniel's coming back, and essentially, then with us, we're really not playing for much, and everybody's fate is it's like nobody's out walking on eggshells because everybody knows the damage is going to get done. We know that D-Day is going to be actually January the 8th. So it's like,
Yeah.
regardless of what happened in these next 5 games, Ron Vera is going to be the head coach. So even barring anything catastrophic is potentially scoring 70 plus points. Now that might be a different story. But,
Could be.
when we think everything good, but like you said, if they hang a 70 burger, where we might have a problem, you
Yeah.
know?
That's very true.
Yeah.
Even at 70 plus points could definitely change the
Yeah.
whole outlook. And I think that because I had brought up, I think Ken had mentioned it when I brought up why not just fire him now? If you know you're gonna fire him, why not just fire him? See what you have in EB. Basically made a he brought up a good point that maybe ownership already knows EB's not the guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a potential. And I think one thing too where um it's very interesting here because of the personnel. And then obviously you look at just the simple fact of how there was some issue with Eric Bieniemy in the beginning of the season,
Yeah,
as far as that. So not a lot of that too where I think that stuff would get swept under the rug if this team was successful. And,
100%.
even though they still have improved offensively compared to the Scott Turner regime. I mean, it's not, obviously I think Scott Turner maybe was like 20th in offense or whatever at the time, whatever. Something no, I think we're like 14th or something like that now. I think so. It's not really. It's a step up, but I don't think people thought it was gonna be probably more of a larger climb. I don't think a lot of
Right.
people were thinking maybe we were gonna be like a top 10 offense or something right around that line. But we like middle of the pack, which he did what he was supposed to do in this short period of time, like you said. And like you said, I don't like you said it may be a situation where Eric Bieniemy they don't look at him as like as the head coach, or at least don't have any faith in him in the sense. So, or it all just depends, or this could be a situation, and it's just one thing where you just never know, because like somebody even said he might could be somewhat of a carryover potentially, but the only thing about it is I don't think he would take that type of position where if he wants his control as an OC. So I think if they would just kind of bring him in, hey, you just become the LC, I think he might have a potential problem with that.
Mm.
Potentially, if he was like a not cast over, but I mean, I don't know if you consider it like a, and plus it really depends on whoever they get as the general manager. Like if he has a relationship with being, so that's one thing
True.
where that's the thing. That's why I think that's the beauty of it all, is like kind of figuring this all out and how this everything will play out.
Yeah.
So yeah, because some people on the staff may still potentially have a chance to come back. I don't know. And it's really gonna be attention on who's the GM and who's the head coach. Like if you have a guy who I'm envisioning, we'll probably get an offensive minded coach,
Right.
and some guys maybe stay from the defense or special teams or what have you. So you just never know.
Yeah.
Because with the new regime, I know they're not gonna be able to bring everybody that they particularly want. So yeah, it's a lot of it's really just contingent on those things. But
It's gonna be interesting for sure.
yeah, and fun. I can't wait. Like you said, I can't wait. And like you said, the off season, because when you're 4-8, it's the only thing you can look forward to.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Only thing that makes
I
you
mean,
excited anymore.
exactly. Draft capital and coaching changes.
Yep.
It's the only thing that matters at this point. Yeah. So we gotta talk about some X factors. Any commander X factors in this game against the Miami
I'm gonna I'm gonna say Emmanuel Forbes. Um, if he's playing, I haven't looked at the injury report lately.
I think he
Um,
had DNP. I think he DNP today, which is Thursday. So I mean, he might practice tomorrow
usually if you don't practice Thursday, you're not playing.
potentially. Yeah,
If he plays, I'm gonna say Emmanuel Forbes just because he's lengthy and kind of has the speed on him. So seeing if he could be able to stay with Tyreek. I think him and Cam Curl kind of gonna go hand in hand. He's gonna have to rely a lot on Cam Curl to help him with over the top stuff. Um, one that's not playing on the field is I'm gonna say is Ron Rivera. You're taking over defensive play calling, going up against one of the most electrifying offenses in the league right now, in a team that is the definition of they're like the what am I thinking of? Like the Golden State Warriors
Mhm.
of 2015, 16, 17 of like they can get hot at any minute and just put a bunch of points on the board. And that's what that offense is. They can get hot whenever they want and it can get really ugly really fast. So how is Ron Rivera going to be able to counteract that with his defensive play calling, which I don't think he's called the defense since he was in Carolina when we got him fired.
yeah. Almost right around this time, what 4 years ago? That's wild, right? I think that's like one of our only road win. Well, we had two road wins that year. Yep, in Carolina and then Miami. Yep, that's wild. But yeah, like you said, I think like you said, when it comes to like the play calling, Ron Vera, it's definitely curious now when you're going against. And it's funny how, like you said, as far as I think the best way to kind of say it in a football sense, they got it's offensive blitz. It's literally an offensive blitz. Like you said, it gets to a point where we always talk about like as far as the dam breaking. Like this is a team that one false move and the dam will break. This is almost like you slide you skating on thin ice on Easter. The water getting a little warm. The ice about to break,
Yeah.
and and it just leads to a point where you know you get to a point where I think this could be, like you said, a situation where, this is Ron Rivera. This is a huge test for him because now, like you said, you now you dip your toe in the defensive play calling, and you got a monster, and no pun intended, but there's a dolphin in the ocean.
Yeah.
I can't make this stuff up, but
Yeah, and it
But
and like after this, you can't blame it on anything else. Like
yeah,
it's gonna be all on you 100%.
yep,
You can say whatever you want, try to hang your head on. Well, I picked Sam Howell in the 5th round. Like
right,
this is it for whatever legacy salvagement Ron Rivera hopes to accomplish. Like this
yeah,
is your chance.
yeah, yeah. This, like you said, this is your opportunity because now, like you said, you can't put this on anybody. You are putting these guys in position to either win this football game or lose this football game.
Yeah.
You putting them in position, and and it falls on you. And like you said, it goes back to my point earlier, where how engaged will he be, like as far as in this play calling and how he will what will happen when there are miscues, when Tyreek Hill goes off and he, does a backflip in the end zone. Like, are you gonna get in these guys' face, or are you just gonna just let them, do what they need to do? I mean, are you gonna talk to them at the series? And that's
You're gonna let
where
them
I
talk to
think
themselves.
right, which I couldn't believe that. I don't like them really.
I still
Like,
can't.
I like come like you've lost this football team. Like when I seen that, I was like, yeah, no,
Yeah,
you can't allow that.
that's when everybody knew. Like he didn't have the locker room anymore at that point. When you're telling the players like, "Hey, see what y'all can come up with," like you're done. He should have
Right.
resigned at that point.
That's
But
like yeah, just like what you Rob. Your kids mess up. You gonna let your kids talk amongst themselves? No, y'all gonna
right,
discipline your children. Like you're gonna
exactly.
discipline your children. Like you're not gonna no no. Y'all pick y'all y'all pick y'all punishment. Are you what? Are you serious? No.
Yeah,
Them kids gonna be eating candy for dinner.
right.
So,
It's the inmates running the asylum at that point.
correct. But yeah. So even though we do this segment every week, but I think we just do it for entertainment purposes because they already know us. They don't listen to us. But it is what it is. Rob, what are your keys to if the if Washington wins this football game? If they decide to win a football game, how you think they can win this game?
By playing the most perfect game of football any team has ever played in their entire lives. Um, because this team, I don't want to say they don't have a weakness. Their defense isn't great. They're giving up like 22, 23 points per game, which I think like 20, hold on, I had it up right here, 23rd in the league. They're giving up 22.8 points a game, which is 23rd in the league. Um, we're giving up 29.2, which is 32nd. Their run game is their pass defense is their quote unquote weakness. They're 11th in passing yards per game, 212. Um, Sam Howell has to play a perfect game. This offensive line has to work in cohesion, in unison. Um, Emmanuel Forbes did not practice today, elbow for what it's worth. Dolphins have a lot of players on their
Yeah.
on their injury report. None that really, I mean, Tyreek Hill didn't practice, so if he doesn't play on Sunday, that goes in our favor. I don't see this team having a lot of keys just because when you fire a coach or coordinator in the middle of the season, rarely does it work out for you. The the Steelers, we just saw it work out for them last weekend. They fired Matt Canada and had their first game of 400 yards of total offense since they hired him. They had never had one under while he was the offensive coordinator. That was also against the beat up Bengals. The Bengals are riddled with injuries, so and it's not like
Mm-hmm.
we're not going up against a team full of injuries. We're going up against who's looking to be a contender, not only this year but years to come. They're sitting at 8-3 right now. They're fighting for that number one seed in the AFC. So it's going to take a perfect perfect game of football for this team to pull out the upset.
Yeah. Um, this is weird though. It kind of reminded me almost like I don't know if you remember, and I think and it coincident. I don't know. It's crazy how all these things have everything intertwined. So this kind of game can remind me of almost similar to when we played the Chiefs in 2021, where I think the thing about the situation at hand is I think if we can get turnovers by Tua. I think if we can control the turnover battle, I think we have a legitimate shot. Because even you look at even in their game last week against the Jets, even though I know people probably was in a food coma after having a second leftovers on Friday, but the Jets is another team where they force they had an opportunity. The Jets had somewhat of an opportunity in certain semesters in that game to take that game over, but obviously, with their situation with the Jets. But I think what Washington has to do is definitely force some turnovers. And like you said, I think Sam Howell, I think he can do it with Tua Tagovailoa, and that's one thing too. I think as far as I think Sam has an opportunity. He has thrown the football. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, you know, him, being a leader and passing yards, that's empty calories," but he's throwing the football and they're connected. At this point, you take it.
Yeah.
You're a 4-8 football team. If somebody leaves the league in something, it at this point it need to be framed. I don't care who it is. So it just I'm at a point where I don't even care about the type of stuff anymore. But I think if we get a situation where if we can get some turnovers, um, I think if even though it's not gonna be balanced, I think another one where I think if you can incorporate the run game, and that's the thing. That's one thing I think when we look at just the talent. Probably one of the reasons why I think you said Aaron Benjamin isn't the head coach in a sense because of some of these play calls, especially in certain positions, especially when it comes to certain downs and distances. You're like, okay, you're going for it, in short yardage, and you're passing the football, especially when you got two running backs who I think that are legitimate that could get you that first down. So I know we keep on saying the balance, but I'm not going to do that every week. I mean, it's this the 13th game, ain't been no balance.
Yeah,
ain't,
that's true.
I would love this, but this game 13. This ain't game one. There's been 12 games that there is no balance, and that's
You know
okay.
what's crazy? In having to listen to Ron Rivera talk every week about, a rebuild takes time, all that. You look at the last time that we played the Dolphins was in 2019. We were both sitting at 0 and whatever we were, 0 and 4, 0 and
Uh-huh.
5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we won that game 17-16. Ryan Fitzmagic couldn't convert the 2-point conversion. And here we are 4 years later. We are essentially in the same exact spot,
What?
and they are prepping for a playoff run.
Right. And like you said, and those used to be the day, and that just shows you like how out of touch he is in the league because there used to be a point where hey, you had a 5-year plan. No, not necessarily. And that's one thing too, where and like you said, good point with the Dolphins. You even look at even within our division when
The
when you
Eagles.
have the Eagles, they turned around extremely quick. You would think, okay, they lost Doug Peterson. You know, they kind of retooled the roster. Dallas did the same thing, even though the year, when we won, Dak was out for the whole year. But they revamped. They weren't the best defense, but obviously they bought a guy like a Dan Quinn. You look at the improvement of Trayvon Diggs, and then you can now with Bland, who's now, as far as got the record for most pick sixes in the NFL
A
season,
Fresno guy.
unfortunately. Right. And I was like, that's another one. And then you even look at the Giants, even though they are horrible this year, but they bought in Dayball. They got some issues here and there, but they made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So it's like they have turned their seasons around while we, like you said, while we were the team, even though we won the division, but we never really got better from that. So that's another thing too. Like you said, and that's where this is where the obvious comes into play, where you know Ron Rivera is the ultimate insanity coach, where we do the same thing but expect different results.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and and it's unfortunate. But yeah, and like you said, that Miami, and remember people saying how that Dolphins team was gonna be the worst team in NFL history.
Hmm.
Remember that? That's crazy. And then you look at what they've done. They even had brought in Brian Flores. Even when Flores was there, they improved. But then once they got rid of him, they kind of another step up. Brought in McDaniel because of just his offensive prowess and how he would get along more with Tua, considering the fact that that Flores was a defensive guy and he really
Yeah,
didn't get along with Tua. But even with that, they still had success. They were still a playoff caliber team, and they turned around extremely quick. Here ain't no turnaround. The only turnaround has been the massive quarterbacks we've had, the
exactly.
quarterback changes that we've
And
had.
yeah, and that's another thing. That 2019 game, we went. That was the draft. We got Chase Young, and they went in and grabbed. They got their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and coming off a hip injury, a lot of people think he won't even ever go come back. I
Yeah,
remember when he hurt his hip, they were like, I don't know about his NFL chances. Huh? you know. But now Tua got himself together though. Now even with that, even with his injury woes, he finally has put together a season this year, and yeah, so it's just even in the midst of all that, they turned their team around and have had drama and had inconsistent play and also injury concerns from a Tua and still turn his football team around.
yeah.
So yeah. And like you said, now, yeah, we could have got Tua or your boy Justin Herbert. But I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, if we would have kept O'Connell, I think it'd have been okay.
Yeah,
Because I think
O'Connell
we
would have
would have
been
had
good.
offensive mind. I think I don't think I always push back about not us getting Tua or Justin Herbert. It's just we would have had offensive personnel to kind of, as far as the coaching, to get them, at least put him in a good position.
Yeah,
But and like you said, now our 2020 pick is gone. So it's like, so that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
All right, now I'm getting a little sad now.
Let's move on.
I
Let's,
know,
let's let's get to these predictions.
right? But yeah. All right. So, Rob, what is your prediction on this our this game before the bye week?
I think it's gonna be another 45-10 ball game.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to. I think Miami's gonna control the game. It's gonna be a lot like the Thanksgiving game. Miami's gonna be in control the entire time. They're gonna know, you know, where to be, when to be there. And there's nothing Ron Rivera's gonna be able to do. There's no scheme that he's gonna be able to draw up to put these guys in the right position to really succeed. And it's gonna be another massacre, just like it was on Thanksgiving.
She's at 45-10.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna say we'll lose 49-17. I think Sam Howell can put up some points, but I think the Dolphins, and hopefully it'll stay at 49. I think that's going to be the key, because I
Yeah.
definitely think this high octane offense, even just the simple fact of um, we really haven't, and even in a weird way, this is probably the most offensively talented team we will face this year. I mean, you look at it from a standpoint, we really, I mean, that's the frightening thing about all of this, especially when we've had guys just go off. Like DJ Moore had a Jerry Rice s type of situation against us. Like a lot of guys have had great moments against us. So why, if and we wouldn't be fools to not think that this ain't gonna happen again on Sunday when you got
Right.
the type of personnel that does this against regular teams and regular functioning defenses. Now you're going against probably arguably one that in their case, you know, it's always been our weak spot. It's our pass defense, and I think this is where you look at it from a I would say from an offensive pass standpoint, this might be the best team that we faced offensively. But yeah, like you said, I think it's gonna be ugly. I think this is gonna be one of those where hitting the exits about about after three.
Yeah,
You get, if you in my area, you might get home before it get dark because it's gonna get ugly real quick.
yeah. I
Unfortunately,
think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a red zone day for me.
yeah,
I think I'm probably mainly gonna main red zone that day.
yeah, yeah. Before we take this bye week, which I think next week, I think I'm just gonna take a break from football. Football just so heartbreaking. It's just
That might
so
be the
soul
move.
crushing. It's soul crushing. But yeah. But yeah, so we had our final topic of the night. Um, so obviously, on 16 years ago on Monday, November the 26th, 2007, pardon me, 2007, Sean Taylor, our beloved safety for our beloved Washington Redskins, passed away on November 27th, 2007.
Yeah.
So this I think this is one of those where we every year we'll try to have somewhat of a remembering Sean Taylor from our perspective. So Rob, I just want to go with you first. Just now just reflecting on the 16-year anniversary of his passing. Just your thoughts on just everything in these everything's concerned.
It doesn't get easier. I mean, obviously, I didn't know Sean personally, but again, I've told this story before, and I'll say it every time we talk about Sean Taylor. Um, got his jersey for my birthday. The the year that he died, I got obviously my birthday September 30th, 2007. I got the jersey. Less than 2 months later, he was shot, and I was at school in the library on the computer doing some research for a project, and I just happened. I was like, let me pull up ESPN real quick, and that's when I saw that he had ultimately passed. I saw what they what Ryan Clark had done on for what show is it around the NFL on CBS. A little tribute that he did. His son, who plays at ASU, wears a towel, uh, contributing, remembering Sean Taylor. The Fox broadcasted the Fox broadcasted the little thing with Jackie Taylor before the game was really cool. Just every year makes me think. You know, I think he would have been in the conversation with the Ed Reeds, the Troy Polamalu's. I think he had the potential to be in a league all his own. He could have been the top of the top, the best safety to ever play the game. It just sucks that we didn't get to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, that was such a great tribute by Ryan Clark. I think that was, definitely, just it capsulated pretty much, I think, all of our sentiments as far as from a commander standpoint. Like you said, these type of moments, especially, you remember when it happened, and like you said, this time one of those weeks that make you reflect and you think, like you said, what if if Chantel did live, and you
Mhm.
know how his NFL career would have been, and now, especially now as he would be feud at 40 years old. So now you just look at the fact of, like you said, how he would have been viewed as far from a current safety perspective. Because obviously now at this point his career would have been over at 40. And you just start to think to yourself, like, what if, like, how would our conversations would have been as far as when it comes to all time commanders, all time, how he would fit in this list, and then also fit in NFL history. And then as far as those opportunities where, gosh, like, could he be been a finalist for for the Hall of Fame this year? Those type of things you think of, what, especially now as he's getting, as now he would have been 40. Those type of situations those conversations would have been had, and that's, and like you said, it's always, it's hard, and then it's just crazy. You sit down and you think like, God, he was only 24, and it when it happened, but then, now looking at it 16 years later, you gotta think to yourself, wow, 24 years old. He left this earth at 24, and it just shows you like the impact that he has had, you know, on just the fan base itself. You just you look at, just like with everything, and I think one thing I learned, especially in his passing, um, when it comes to local media, I think, um, you know, support your local media, especially when covers your team. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think, you look at just how I've always supported the local outlets, because of the situation that happened with Sean. Because I think a lot of it, because obviously the situation happened, um, early on a Monday morning, like in the wee hours of Monday. He was fighting for his life Monday. We kind of knew it was critical that Monday. So, obviously the four-letter word, they talked about it, but then also they talked about some stuff that happened in the past that was unrelated to, knowing that, we have a 24-year-old current NFL player on his deathbed, and we're talking about stuff that happened that's insignificant to it. But obviously, when you turn to the local stations, they talked about, just talked about keeping in perspective of what's going on here and there. And it was never nothing negative and everything like that. So just one of those where, and like, and I'm glad that Graham Clark brought up that point, like as far as, hey, you know, I want to continue to talk about them in a positive light, because like a lot of people will always talk about people in a negative light, and I think one thing too, where you just look at it, from that standpoint, but it is one of the greatest what ifs, and it's just like you said, it never gets easy. Especially now, you look at, especially like you said, we talked about Jackie a little earlier, and now she's getting ready to graduate from high school, and and they think yourself, forget the football stuff. This man not gonna be able to see his daughter graduate, and that was the light of his life. Like, so that's one thing where I think when it comes, that's the beauty about, like, guys like you and I cover this, cover the team and all that, and everybody else, because we understand, we know the person. We don't focus on the athletic prowess, in a sense. We understand there's a person behind the guys that we talk about week in and week out. And Sean was another one. Sean was another one that that we understood his story. We knew he loved his wife, he loved his daughter, he loved his family. And a lot of people people don't really talk about it, but we know, because because it is what it is, because we know.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, but yep, yep. Like you said, every year it's always that November 27th comes up. Yep, and you remember where you were when you got that news, and
Mhm.
yep, and it's something that, yep, it's especially in our neck of the woods, it is something, especially when it comes to Commanders. This is always a kind of tough day, but it's good day to just reflect on it and just realize, hey, you lived a great life, even though it was a short life, but his life has impact. And even now, we're sitting here talking about him 16 years later. It
Yeah.
just shows you the mark of the man that Sean Taylor is, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll put a bow on episode 73. Man, Rob, we ready to head to a bye week.
Yeah. A
Man,
much needed bye week.
I did not think this was gonna happen. I was like, and I'm telling you, every time I looked at that schedule, I was like, we cannot have a December bye week again. And lo and behold, we got another December bye week. And I'm just like, how we got a bye week 2 weeks before Christmas? Oh man, we
Much
can't.
needed.
Much needed. We needed a dude, we needed a bad week after the first Giants loss.
Yeah.
Man, we need a bad week weeks ago. But hey, it is all good. We got a bad week coming up. So, man, that should be fun. Like we said, great opportunity to just sit back, relax, and don't have to worry about a loss.
Yeah.
You don't think?
Can't lose on a bye week.
how I think you can't.
Ron Rivera will find a way to do it though.
Right. Well, but yeah, man. So like as you know, so we'll take our bye week and we'll be back once again in 2 weeks as we preview the final four. Wow, that's crazy thing. We only got 4 games after the bye. It's crazy. So yeah, man. So before we head on out, Rob, final thoughts and plug everything you got going on social media.
Yep. You already know you can find me FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Show Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. I got See You Sunday this Saturday. Probably with Mo and Ken again. Tomorrow I'm gonna have Mo on at some point. Got to work out the exacts talking about primetime games, the good, the bad, the ugly, with a focus on Thursday night games. Hope y'all tune in for that.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, man, and definitely check out Couch Coach Live Wednesdays, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Check out the website couchcoachlive.com, social media Couch Coach Live, and also here, command us in the chat. Thursdays, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, for the exception of next week because we're on a bye week. We are taking a official bye week. Cannot wait, But check us out here on Thursdays, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Commanders ITC social media, also YouTube Commanders ITC as well. So catch you guys in 2 weeks. And enjoy this tumultuous ride. We only got 4 more rides left of this, so enjoy it while you can. Enjoy that bye week. Don't be stressed out. We won't be stressed out. We'll it'll be next week. Be really chilled and laid back, and we'll be back to close out the year, the final four, and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks. And we out.